Raider Nation, what is going on? Eddie Paskal here, back for a special pregame edition of Upon Further Review, brought to you by good people at Coors Light, hanging out with my man, DJ Duffel, Brice Butler in the house.
Baby, 2023.
And if you guys are watching us on YouTube, you will see we are not in the podcast studio. It's Monday Night Football. Energy is high. We are excited to start rocking and rolling, and we are in the EA Sports Madden Cruiser right outside Allegiant Stadium. So if you're around, come holler at us. Brice and I are going to be doing our thing, so come say what's up. But I got to say, Brice, it's good to get out of the studio, right? It feels good to stretch your legs, be amongst the people. That's one thing that you and I have bonded over, is our love of being with the people. And man, this is a pretty cool bus, man.
No, this is dope. I mean, we're right outside the stadium. Like, I can smell the hot dogs. I can smell the barbecue grilling. People are walking around. It's a little early right now, but as soon as we're done here, I mean, those streets are going to get filled up. Can't wait to get it popping.
What's going to be great is that the crowd that we saw when we came in is going to be very different than the crowd that we see when we leave the bus here in a little bit. And speaking of, if you guys are hanging out with us on YouTube, we're going to have some of our friends stop by in a little bit. So bear with us, be flexible. We're going about as casual can be. Brice and I are going to chop it up, say what's up to all of our pals as they come through. But I'm curious about this, Brice. And we've talked to so many different players, and we're going to do game preview and all that kind of stuff. But I want to start here. We've talked to so many different players. I've talked to Daniel Carlson this week. We've talked to a bunch of dudes, current players, former players, about prime time, right?
Yep.
Prime time is a different beast. It's a different animal. But you hear some guys that say, yo, it's just business as usual for me. I got my same routine. I don't change a thing. Other guys that say, hey, it's different. I kind of adjust accordingly. Like, where did you kind of fall on that spectrum?
Okay, that's a great question. I tended to have my best games in prime time.
Oh, okay.
So I had some pretty good Monday night. I scored about 4 or 5 of my 10 touchdowns on Monday night or Sunday Night Football. For me, like, it kind of brought me back to high school a bit. Like, in high school, when you're playing on Friday night, it's like the whole day you're kind of like, it's go time, it's go time. You're walking around, you know, the school hall with your jerseys on. And you're like, everybody's going to come watch me play tonight, so I got to show out. In college, you tend to play a lot of games at 12 noon. So you just kind of wake up on Saturday and get it going. Same thing with the league. On Sundays, you kind of wake up, play at 1 o'clock, you know, get home by 4:35 if you're playing home. And, like, that's kind of like it. But then when you play on Sunday night or you get to play on Monday night, it's like, especially Monday night, you know, everybody in the country that loves to watch a game of football is going to be tuned in to y'all's one game, that one matchup. So for me, it always felt different, you know, going into a Monday night or a Sunday night game, because I knew everybody's going to be tuned in. So it just heightened my level of urgency a little bit. You
know, the best part I think about the primetime games, you say, right, you're the only game on TV, and I feel like all the people, like especially for a guy like you, you're balling out on primetime doing your thing.
Right.
You know, you get back to your phone, especially if you're scoring, the phone's blowing up. Like, you got probably the people you haven't talked to since junior high are like, hey, Brice, I saw you on ESPN last night doing your thing.
Exactly. No, that's exactly right. I mean, you just know everybody's tuned in. So if you ball out, you show out, everybody's going to know. And then the flip side, if you don't ball out, you don't have a good game, everybody's going to know because everybody's watching. And it'll be the same thing. All your boys and homies be like, bro, what the heck was that? Like, what are you doing? So I love playing on Monday night, Sunday night football games. As far as like the actual routine, just getting prepared for the game, nothing different, man. Just pregame meal, get to the stadium early, you know, do all your meditation, whatever, however you got to do to get ready, and go out there and play football.
You know, speaking of ESPN, the game tonight is on ESPN, 5:15 p.m. kickoff. Make sure you follow us along on Raiders.com. Download the Raiders app if you want to hear the radio call, Spanish and English. And speaking of the Spanish radio call, I think I just saw him walk in. The best dressed man in Allegiant Stadium right now. Hey, Ruiz. Hey, Ruiz, you in the house? Come on down. Come on down. Let's go.
All right, random hand man.
Here we go. Here we go. Random hand man, connect.
What's up, baby?
Great to meet you, man. Big fan.
Nice to meet you.
Right in the middle, Harry. Right in the middle. Right in the middle. Here we go.
Squeeze in there.
It's good to see you, brother. It's good to see you.
Intercept Cancer Day, so got to rock it. And I know my mom was battling cancer, so.
There you go. Dressed to the nines, my friend.
Yeah.
We look at this game. First of all, Brice and I have been kind of caged up in here for a hot minute. What's going on outside? How's the energy? How are the fans feeling?
So it's hot, but the tailgating's already kicking off. I'm ready to go out there once we finish talking over here. But they said, Eddie wants to talk to you. Brice is in the house. I'm like, I got to hit up the Madden Cruiser. It's incredible in here. It's even more incredible outside.
Nice. You know, oh, sorry, go ahead, Duffel.
I was just going to say, how excited are you for this game? Because obviously, get into the game. Sorry, Eddie. Get into the game.
No, do your thing, man.
We really need this win
Big time.
And so what do you think are like the main keys and focuses that the players need to be on going into tonight's game?
I mean, you got to start getting that running game going.
Yep.
It's been hard for the Silver and Black to get it going, but you saw them have that extension with those short passes to Josh that then he just ran through defenders against the Chargers. That big play on third down where he caught it in the line of scrimmage, got the first down, kept the chains moving. So I see those short passes, those short gains with the pass. The yards after the catch are going to be key, but if you can get Josh Jacobs going, that's going to be opening a lot of windows for guys like Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, hopefully Michael Mayer, he gets involved a little bit more in the game, but it all starts with the rushing game. So the big fellas up front, got to start opening those holes for Josh and the company.
I totally agree.
We'll get back to Devontae in a sec, but here I was going to ask you too. Like I was, kind of going through the game preview and doing all the Raiders.com stuff this week. One thing that I kept coming back to was, hey, we're playing on primetime. Going to be a loud Raider Nation filled place, rocking here tonight. The Raiders have to me, they got to win the turnover battle. That's one that we haven't done yet. Got our first takeaway of the year last week in Los Angeles, Trayvon Merrick doing his thing. But to me, if the Raiders can find a way to steal momentum, steal it early, and then Brice, you know as well as I do how powerful a thing that is to steal momentum, especially in the first quarter, a big takeaway, an explosive play, whatever it is. I think the Raiders can ride that wave to a really positive result here tonight.
Absolutely, and then you look at big plays that have been taken away by penalties, those turnovers that have happened already in previous games. Start off with the Chargers game, that big sack by Maxx on third down, offsides, denies it, and then you got to give the ball back, and LA scores the first points in the game. So if you're able to get your hands on the footballs, that's going to be key for the Silver and Black, and be able to get points off of those turnovers. That's going to be huge because they got that interception, but then they punted the ball away. So you got to capitalize on those opportunities.
I mean, the biggest thing that you can do to help your young quarterback out is stay on schedule, stay in front of the chains, not behind the chains. So obviously, you guys go out there, you get holding penalties, you get false starts and all that. You're just hurting your young quarterback. And he needs everybody hitting on all cylinders because, this is his first Monday Night Football game.
And I was going to ask you real quick, though, Brice. We talk about, the turnovers, and Harry brought up the fact that there's been a handful of, almost. We talk about Marcus Peters. We talk about, the handful that have happened. When you're a player, how do you keep your guys up in the course of a game, right? Like, Marcus Peters, incredible football player, right? Has made himself a lot of money, been really successful in this league for a hot minute. He's had a couple that he's had the opportunity to house. And you see a guy, there's that natural, I don't want to say, hanging your head at all, but you kind of see that, natural human frustration. How do you talk your guys up in the course of a game?
Well, I mean, a guy like Marcus Peters, and
who probably doesn't need that much talking.
Yeah, right. A guy like him, he's just telling himself it's gonna happen tonight. So he's going in the game I should have had a couple. So he's telling himself, I need to have mine tonight. It's gonna happen tonight. It's the biggest stage. I need to get it done. I mean, for other guys, when you almost make plays like that, especially on the defensive side, when it comes to the turnover battle, you're not really hanging your head. You want to make the play, but you're not really hanging your head because at the end of the day, it is a good play for the team. But you just want to make that play. You want the interception, you want the forced fumble, you want to pick it up and take it to the house. So I think those guys aren't really hanging their head. I feel like coming into tonight's game with another young quarterback, Jordan Love, I feel like they're chomping at the bit and they know they can make it happen tonight.
I know you're going with everything. I want to ask Brice about Tyree. What kind of game do you think he can have tonight with him being a rookie, with him being a guy that the fans want him to just get active? I got a feeling once his first sack arrives, he's just going to start. The DN, the number 7 overall pick, he's been.
We need it.
Yeah, I'm hey, we need somebody next to
We
Max.
need sacks.
Yeah.
Forget anything. We need to get after a quarterback. I mean, you're playing against a young quarterback like Jordan Love. I think they're 2-2 right now. He's had some good games, so I feel like his confidence is growing for a team like our team right now. We need to get our confidence going, and we need it to start up front. I mean, we got Max. We need somebody else to step up, and it's time for Reek to do it. So let's get it.
And you and I have had this conversation before, Harry, where Max is all world, all Madden, all whatever, right? Max is that guy. But we need to find, and I mean this in the best possible way, and Jason Fitz and I have talked about this a lot. You have your Batman, right? You have your Batman in Maxx Crosby. You have your Batman in Devontae. You have your Batman in Josh Jacobs. Who's going to be Robin, right? You need to have those guys show up, whether it's a Tyree, whether it's a Malcolm Kuntz, whether it's Divine Diablo, maybe having some pressure from that second level.
Had a good game
Jenkins, right? The big fella in the middle. You need to have those dudes show up because if you're a an offensive coordinator, and you're looking at the Raiders defense, you say, I'm not going to let Maxx Crosby beat me. 98 is that guy. It can't be 98. Who else is it going to be? And that's where you need your other dude to step up.
Heck, I'm doing my research for the game, and I'm going through all the stats, and I'm like, it's crazy how Maxx is like one of the best defensive ends in the league. But you don't only see the sacks, you see the tackles, and you see him. He's like, heck, he has a lot more tackles and a lot of defensive tackles and a lot of linebackers, and it's like he's that guy. He never quits. He has a motor where he wants to be on the field every single play, and that's crazy. That's ridiculous. You don't see it a lot in the NFL. So you got to have that mentality where you're in that locker room and you see Maxx Crosby and you be like, hey, you know what? I want to get the bag like Maxx.
Right.
And I want if I play the way he plays, I'm gonna get the bag too.
Exactly. I mean, that's harder to do though.
Hey, who
easy to say, right? Easy to say.
Easy to say, but then sometimes, like you said, like a guy like him, like I look at a guy like him and go, like, he doesn't look like he gets tired. Like, that's not like conditioning, dog. Like, that's like a hunger that like everybody doesn't have. You know what I'm saying? But like Maxx Crosby, I mean, he's a dog, man.
Brice, who are the dudes that you played with that just didn't come off the field?
Well, we had one guy that should have came off the field a little bit more, but he didn't. Jason Witten never missed a play. Like, I mean, if we're talking about just Raiders, I mean, I don't think I played with anybody when I was playing the Raiders that didn't come off the field. But like, the only one player that I know never missed a snap was Jason Witten.
Hey, he ended up playing over here eventually.
Yeah,
so we'll count him as a Raider.
Yeah, like he never missed a play, and it was like he was older. It was crazy because like he would have broken ribs and he would never miss a play. It was like scary.
That's why he's going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Hey, but you know what? Sunday at SoFi Stadium, when Adams went down, and the way I looked, I was like, oh my God, no, that can't be. And then he comes back same quarter. I'm like, well, that's a different beast, different monster. He doesn't practice Thursday or Friday. He's out there on Saturday. I'm pretty sure he's going to be out there today because I wouldn't bet against a guy like Crosby or a guy like Adams not playing in a game.
And I'm glad you brought up our guy Davante Adams because on the way out, Harry, and after we do this, I want to make sure that you tell everyone where they can listen to the Spanish broadcast, all the incredible work that you're doing with Raiders.com and with Myra, your partner up in the booth. Let's manifest this. Can we make this happen tonight? I need us to will a Davante Adams touchdown. Let's call it third quarter, 3rd and 3, Davante touchdown. En español, por favor, mi amigo Harry.
So I never do it, but because it's Eddie, I'll do it. And you know what? I'm not manifesting 1. I'm manifesting 3. I want a hat trick.
I need 3 because he's on my fantasy team, so I need 3. Come on,
let's go 3. Okay, so Jimmy G toma el snap de Andre James. Se encuentra Davante Adams en las diagonales. Sí, anotación. Touchdown. Raiders. Los malosos derrotan a los empacadores en el Estadio Allegiant.
There it is. There it is. Hopefully. There it is.
Let's go. We need more of those tonight.
Harry, on the way out, before we welcome in our guy Omar Ruiz, please do me a favor. Tell all the people out there where they can find you on Raiders.com, where they can listen to the game broadcast today, and who you're doing it with.
Yeah, here in Vegas, Deportes Vegas, 1460 AM, but you can listen to it on the radio all around California. Worldwide, Raiders.com/en vivo. If you're in Vegas, you can hear it on your phone too. If you're outside of Vegas, on your laptop, on your computer, listen in. And of course, Raiders.com Espanol. Shout out to Jonathan and all the crew doing a fantastic job letting us be out there. You, the PR department, we're trying to put out the best content possible for all the Spanish-speaking Raider Nation. There's a lot of you. Hay muchos de ustedes allá en el mundo. Los queremos mucho. Y vamos malosos. Vamos Raiders.
Vamos.
That's my guy. That's my guy. Harry, we'll let you get it. I know you got a lot of work to do, a lot of prep to do. Say hello to our friends in the parking lot as well.
Appreciate you.
J-Lot, there he is.
Nice to meet you.
So Harry is out. And Omar is in. Look at this. Look at this.
One race after the other.
That's right. The brothers Ruiz.
Omar, what's up, man? Oh, yeah. SDSU. Let's go, baby.
There's my guy, Omar Ruiz. Good to see you, brother.
This is live right here?
Yeah, man. Look at you. Right into the bus. Right into the bus. Good to see you. You also got the pink rocking as well. Good to see you. Crucial catch.
Intercept cancer. And
yes.
We all know about my wife's battle last year, which is going very well at this point. And she's healthy as a horse, as I like to say, and everything's trending positively. So just a reminder to get yourselves checked. Yeah. And if you feel something, go see your doctor, advocate for yourself. It's never too, you can never be too strong of your own advocate when it comes to health. So anyway, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now that the real life important stuff is out of the way, let's talk about a silly football game, shall we? We come into today. Raiders looking for a W, lost 3 in a row. The Packers, a very unique team from our perspective on the outside looking in. When you look at what the Raiders have to do to be successful tonight, on primetime at home, like what's the first thing that pops to you?
Take care of the football.
Yeah.
I mean, the growing turnovers from Garoppolo, those first 3 starts, 1, then 2, then 3, just can't happen. And I was talking to some Packers defenders this week, and I said, is there anything that he's doing that teams are baiting him into making those turnovers? And they said no. It's just that when he makes a mistake, they're capitalizing on it. Yeah. So it's just limiting those mistakes. He's not doing anything crazy, but it's just when there's an errant throw, they're ready for it. And so limiting that, and it obviously would help if they could run the football a lot better. So take caring the football, get Josh Jacobs going, averaging a little bit better than 40 yards per game since he's been back. First month of the season, obviously, get some of the rust off. If he could get going against a defense that has given up more than 200 yards in their 2 losses each of those games, so if they can get going there, would go a long way for a Raider win.
Do you think Josh is a little slow right now because of missing training camp, and obviously now with like one less preseason game? Obviously, he didn't play in the preseason, but one less preseason game, extra regular season game. Do you think we're still seeing some of that preseason rust?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think this would be the perfect opportunity to shake that rust off. Yeah. And we've heard over the years, especially since we've had so many teams not play their starters in the preseason, that they say the first month of the season is like the preseason. Yeah. They're getting the timing down. They're getting the rhythm. Right. They're forming that chemistry. And I could see that with Josh Jacobs, especially somebody who runs so hard and powerful and aggressive and plays with such passion to get that timing and rhythm with his offensive line. And it's something that you need reps on the field to do. Yeah. And, again, the Packers, talking to Matt LaFleur, they want to play more physically. That's where they think, at all levels of their defense, how they've given up those big games on the ground when they've lost this season. So, they're going to try to bring the physicality. The Raiders, obviously, will try to do that with the run game. And should be an interesting matchup for sure.
Bryce, I'm sure that your opinion on this has changed since you were playing. And maybe it hasn't, but, do you still see inherent value for guys to go out and break a sweat and do their thing in the preseason at all?
Yeah. Okay. So the weird thing about the preseason is the older you get, the less you want to spend time doing it, because when you're young, you're just I want to get it. I want to play football. I can still remember my rookie training camp in Napa. I wanted every rep. I wanted every preseason rep. I wanted to play as much as possible. When you get older, though, you're kind of nah, you go do it. You need to prove something. I'm okay at this point. You know what I mean? Yeah, but at the same time, especially offensively, you have to get timing down in all facets. The O-line needs to be, because they're a band of brothers, right? The 5 guys up front, they have to be, the calls have to be on point. Are we fanning it over here? Are we doing this over there? Then when it comes to the running back, is he hitting the holes on time? Okay, this guard is a little bit slower when he has to pull than this guard. And then when it comes to receivers, obviously the timing has to get down. And then especially, bro, at this point, you got a rookie quarterback. So, as a coach and as a receiver, I'm sure Devontae is I wish or I hoped I would have spent more time with this guy in August, just talking to him, kind of understanding him a little bit better, because now he's playing. And just say you didn't speak to the guy at all in August. Now you're dang, this dude's putting food on my table. So now you're just trying to catch up with that. So preseason is very huge, especially for offense. That's why typically defenses are better in the beginning, because all they got to do is just pin their ears back and go. Yeah. But offense for sure.
I wonder too, Omar, we talked about kind of that first month, and Bryce talks about the time with the offensive line. Obviously the 7 sacks aside, which is a hard thing to take away, right? Sure. But we did see kind of the best version of Josh last week that we've seen in a minute, right? Able to move the ball effectively at times, get involved in the passing game. I wonder how much of that is him just getting his legs about him, but him being comfortable again with the big fellas up front too.
Yeah, I think it's all of it, and I think it's familiarity with the opponent last week as well. From a schematic standpoint, probably aided in that regard. And but I think this is a Packers defense that has been struggling for a couple years now. I remember when Joe Barry first got there with Matt LaFleur, they had a top 10 defense, and I think a lot of that had to do with the effectiveness of the offense and Aaron Rodgers, of course, and Aaron Jones keeping the ball, putting the defense in good positions when they would get it, complementary football. And obviously they had a down year last year, transitioning to Jordan Love now this year. Them keeping possession of the football would help the defense there, but it is a defense that is still, again, looking to play more physically. It's looking to find an identity I think, more than anything the past couple of years.
And they lost their dogs, too.
Certainly. Jair Alexander's been banged up. He's questionable for tonight. We'll see how many snaps he plays if he goes. But, when you have so many guys like that missing, and you mentioned the dogs, the kind of like the heart and soul type of guys that have moved on over the last couple of years. Again, this is a defense that, is probably ripe for the Raiders to try to get back on track offensively.
I know that Jair Alexander's questionable tonight, but just as like a fan, I want to see Davante and Jair, right? And Davante talks about it this week. He said, the game has changed. Where he's like, this isn't 20 years ago where he's going to follow me around and we're going to be mano-a-mano for 60 snaps. But he goes, the reps that we do get against each other are going to be really fun. So I selfishly hope that we get to see it. Who knows how much of it we'll see? But I mean, in terms of pure entertainment value, that's got to be one of the more exciting matchups.
Yeah, I can't wait. And obviously both are questionable, and every indication is that Davante is going to play, and I think Jair will play too. I can't see how either of them could miss that matchup after all that time spent together on the practice field in Green Bay, and how much of a mentor Davante Adams was for Jair Alexander, and it was really going against Davante every day at practice that sharpened not only his skill set but his confidence to play at the elite level and become one of the elite corners in the game. You know what? I thought it was interesting, and I'm interested to get your take, Brice. Jair said this week that in that matchup, when you get to know each other so well, practice against each other every day, he feels as a corner, the corner has that matchup. What's your take?
Look at that coy smile.
I mean, so you got to know Jair too, right? He likes to talk. He's always about him, which he's supposed to be. He's not going to give an inch to Davante, right? So he's spent I don't know how many years, at least 4 to 5 years with Davante. Like you said, I think that relationship with them going against each other in practice helped Jair get to the point where he is one of the top guys in the league. But I mean, if Davante sitting back, if Davante would have heard that, Davante would be smiling y'all didn't see practice, and I used to get that dude the business. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun to see. They're both. There's no way they're not playing.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say this about. And it says a lot about Davante, and you guys have seen just what an incredible professional he is. Pros pro. And I think the thing that stood out to Jair, he said this week, was that Jair, as confident as he is, said, I'm a difficult matchup. When I first came onto the scene, I was pretty good. Obviously, I wasn't at Davante's level yet. But Davante would come up to me after practice, give me tips and pointers. In other words, making it harder on himself in practice, because the further that he would elevate Jair, the more difficult of a time Davante would have at practice. But the fact that Davante still did that and elevate his teammates' game on the other side of the ball is something, he had tremendous respect for Davante. And the stuff that we hear him do here, with the young players, the young members of the secondary. So just, Davante Adams, all class. Of course, we've seen that for years in the NFL, and we heard more stories of it this week coming out of Green Bay.
And Brice, if we were to give Davante the truth serum, and Davante's been very open and transparent, as he typically is, about playing his former team. And I'm sure it's a little different because it's here and not back at Lambeau. But, kind of just take me into the headspace of a guy who's playing his former team for the first time. I mean, he talks about it, he goes, dude, I grew up there, right? I grew up as a human. I grew up as a football player. I had a lot of incredible memories with incredible people. And now you got to flip the switch and be like, I got to go get him. How do you kind of approach it? And I mean this in the best possible way. How does it not mean a little bit more?
Well, it does. You're going to go out there and give flowers to your team, right? It's always going to be politically correct. When you're in the media talking about your own team. But at the same time, Davante knows why he left there. There were some things that he probably looks at them and goes, F y'all.
Which he said, delicately.
So, at the end of the day, and then with the matchup, right? Now he knows he has to go against Jair, a guy that, in his mind, he could be like, I helped this guy get to where he's at now. So in his mind, he's like, one, I got to let this organization know they messed up and let me get up out of here. And then two, he's like, I got to make sure for my personal, I win my today's matchup with my young boy. You know what I'm saying? Because it's going to be smiles. They're going to do the last, they're going to tap on the butt. They're going to run back to huddle. But if Davante doesn't have the game that he expects to have, or vice versa, they both gonna be upset, especially Davante, because this is he balled at Green Bay, so he wants to let them know this is the guy that y'all built. Now I'm here, I'm gonna do it to y'all, So
one of the best lines I heard this week, I talked to Rasul Douglas, one of the corners for Green Bay, and he said that when you play Davante, that Davante wants to leave every corner as soon as he's done playing them, that he is the best receiver in football. He just wants to take their heart and soul and make sure they know that at the end of the game. And so even though they're all friends and they all have that relationship, they know that he's coming for them.
Yes.
And he wants to light them up in a way that we haven't seen this season.
And we obviously watched a ton of Davante highlights this week, but one thing that I'm always struck by Bethel is that, like, you look at Davante do his thing and he's just so smooth, right? He's so fluid. Dude looks like he's like dancing or floating, whatever it is. Not the biggest guy out there.
No.
Certainly not the fastest guy out there. I mean, you wouldn't say he's the most physically imposing, go get the ball type of dude. How is he, depending on who you ask, either the number 1 or the number 2 wide receiver in the NFL?
So one, he's a precise route runner. Like, that was my game. So, like, I will always watch guys, and obviously I played against, him and Derek at Fresno State when I was at San Diego State. And I remember, so I transferred from USC to San Diego State, right? And Derek threw for like 600. I think Davante and like 3 or 4 other guys had like over 100, but Davante was like, in particularly, killing.
Yeah.
And I remember just being like, who the heck is this number 15 cat? Like, who is this guy? And I was just watching him even from then in college. Like, his routes were just crispy. Like, you couldn't stop him on the line. Like, and then when I got into the league and I got to know him a little bit better, started to realize, a little bit of basketball basketball. First step is crazy. One thing that I noticed about basketball, I played basketball growing up, and I wish I would have played longer. Because the thing that the basketball players have, if y'all remember a guy named Stevie Johnson, they're very good horizontally. So, like, I was a linear receiver, like vertical. So, like, I was trying to get going. A lot of the guys that are really good at the line, like Davante, Keenan Allen, and Stevie Johnson, they're horizontal. So instead of trying to get on the side, they want to play in front of you. Like, they have the basketball, because when you play basketball, the guy's in front of you. You're not really trying to you're trying to just get him over there so you can get to where you're going, And I think with that mindset that he has of, I'm going to just rock with you horizontally, his first step is stupid, dog. Like, if you see it, like, he always slow plays his routes. And then once he puts his foot in the ground, like, he's gone, dog. And, like, I think that's why, even though he's not the fastest, he's not the most physically imposing, he can get where he wants to get to with ease, because, like, that's when he puts that foot down, like, it's like a spring, and he's shooting out, and he's gone.
I remember I had a newfound appreciation for Davante last year, just watching him a little more closely, being with the Raiders, one of the teams I cover. And I remember watching him in a game where he is just tearing it up. And he is just wide open. And I remember thinking, how at this point in his career do defenses let him get wide open? Until I realized when you watch the All-22 that they do have 3 guys on him, but he is so good, to your point, on the get-off and the separation, that he creates that 3-4 foot wide open space. And it's just remarkable how he does that when you have 3 guys dedicated to him. It really is crazy. And that Fresno State, San Diego State game you were talking about, I remember where I was when I watched that game. I was in Denver getting ready for a Broncos game, right? Saturday night. It was one of those late nights, and I had the same thought. Who the heck is this guy? This Davante Adams just killing our Aztecs. So anyway, I cover the Broncos game that day. I stay in Denver. On Monday, I'm doing my reports from inside the headquarters where we have those team cams.
Shout out Team Cam.
At Raiders headquarters. Anyway, I see John Fox there, who's an old San Diego State alum, who was the head coach of the Broncos at the time. And I said, Coach Fox, I don't know if you saw our Aztecs, but they got lit up by this guy named Davante Adams at Fresno State. I felt like I put Davante on the map there. And,
I think we lost in overtime.
It was a crazy game, but you're right. It was just, Derek Carr was great, threw a bunch of touchdowns, but Davante Adams was just, holy cow, what a special player.
And coming from USC, like, you come from a team that, like, you feel like you get the best talent. And I remember going to that game being like, that dude is freaking good. Like, I don't know how he ended up at Fresno State. That dude is freaking good.
And that's a great story we got to hear some days, how Davante ends up at Fresno State. To your point, right, where he doesn't end up at an SC, a UCLA, someplace like that. But Omar, before we get you out of here, I just want to get your kind of quick take on the AFC West, right? The Chiefs back there doing their thing look. I don't want to say gettable, because, like, until, you're the champs, until you get got, like, you're the big dog on the block. But it feels like the Chiefs that we're seeing this year feel, at least the eye test to me, look a little bit different than years past.
Yeah, they look like, they are beatable.
Human. They look human.
They look human, but I think they'll figure it out. I think they're one of those teams at this point because of salary cap and how much Patrick gets paid nowadays, they're going to be retooling that roster every year, and it's going to take them several weeks, if not several months, or come playoff time before they tweak everything together. And we saw it again. Juju Smith-Schuster comes in for the year. They win a Super Bowl. They replace Tyreek Hill. And then now Juju's gone.
Yep.
So they're just going to kind of be doing that. So it's going to take some time to refigure out. Now they do have a young receiving core that, they'll figure it out. And I think when young players first emerge, consistency is the big thing. And they'll probably find it. I'm just curious how the defense is going to come together. And I think the way we talk about Josh Jacobs, you could probably say the same thing about Chris Jones, who's coming along. And once he gets his legs fully underneath him, I think that defense will take the next step. Because you looked at them coming into the year when they had those 6 rookies playing last year, significant snaps. They're only going to be that much better heading into year 2. So I think Kansas City will be that force at the end of the year. But certainly if you're going to get them now. Because, they may become that juggernaut later in the year.
Eddie, I also feel like, these stadiums need to ban Taylor Swift.
Right?
There's a lot of energy behind the Swifties being at these games. So we need to make sure when we play here, Swift is not in there.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine, though? And it does feel very Vegas, though, doesn't it? Yeah. Right? It feels so Vegas that Taylor Swift ends up here. And, I know. But it'd be even more perfect if the Raiders are able to come away with a W on that week that they're here. Omar, it was so good to see you. I appreciate you hanging out with us on short notice. Where do the people find you on NFL Network?
We'll be NFL Game Day kickoff today, starting at 4 o'clock Pacific time, and we'll have all of our post-game coverage. So I know the game's on ESPN. Our great colleagues put on a good show after the game. Turn it on to us.
Come holla at us.
And watch this post-game show.
And I will. Omar, it's good to see you, brother. I appreciate you, man. We'll see you up in a little bit, all right?
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks, Omar.
We got Omar out here. The magic hand is emerging for the stick mic. There it is. There it is. 2 for 2. That's production, baby. Appreciate you, Omar.
Aztecs.
I also, dude, we've done a lot of shows. I don't know if I've ever heard San Diego State brought up more.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Come on, once you get closer, come on, let's scoot you in a little bit.
We're back.
But that is a lot of. We went heavy San Diego State, which is good.
That's my guy right there, man. Aztec for life.
That's right. We've talked a lot about the game. Okay. We've talked about Devontae doing his thing. We've talked about some of the matchups that we got to keep an eye on. We've talked about what the Raiders ultimately need to do to kind of buck this losing streak, get back in the winner's circle. I want to zoom out a little bit. Because we are so fortunate to be here in Las Vegas at this beautiful stadium right here off the Strip. Yeah. And I know we kind of joked about it with Omar, but the entertainment that we have in this building is second to none. I don't care where you're going. I don't care if you're going to the Super Bowl. I don't care if you're going to the AFC Championship game. I don't care what it is.
Right.
We do it the best possible way. So
who do we got today? Talk to me.
Who do we got today? So lighting the torch, keeping it very Vegas in the best possible way. The Golden Knights in the house, gonna light the torch, the Stanley Cup champions, get this place going.
Yep.
And then, now here's where it gets fun. Too Short, Warren G, DJ Quick, halftime.
Quick.
So we throw it back, right? We get a little Oakland with Too Short. We get a little Southern California with Warren G. DJ Quick out there doing his thing. Let's see, who do we got on the anthem? On the anthem, we got Mickey Guyton, 4-time Grammy nominee. That'll do. Man, and it's just like, we talk about kind of the best shows in sports, the best spectacles in sports. And obviously we hope the 53 guys or 47 that play tonight that are active are going to go out there and do their thing. But there's so much more that goes into a game, especially here, that you got to be fired up for all these the festivities of it all.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to some people that's been coming last year or whatever since the stadium's been up, and sometimes they're just like, I'm here because of Warren G and Too Short.
It's a show, yeah.
I'm here because DJ Marshmello. I can buy a cheap ticket to go to the game, a cheaper ticket to go to a game and sit right behind Marshmello in is it the MGM Club?
I believe it's the Wynn Club.
The Wynn?
Yeah, Winfield Club.
The Winfield Club. No disrespect. The Winfield Club, you know what I'm saying? And so a lot of people like to come to the game solely for that. So, I mean, we're in Vegas, baby. You got to put it up.
And I also appreciate, too, I think that this place does an incredible job of kind of like remembering our roots, right? Our LA roots, our Oakland roots. You got a guy like Too Short, right?
Yeah.
Who, Bay through and through, East Bay guy, Warren G, Southern California. Like I'm always like so impressed that we do such a good job of tying everything together. And it really starts at the top with ownership, right? Like we talk about all the time that like, hey, we have new fans here in Las Vegas, but we're not leaving our fans in Oakland.
Nope.
We're not leaving our fans in Las Vegas, or excuse me, LA. We're not leaving our fans who live in Columbus, Ohio, right? Like everyone's welcome here, and this is just the culmination of a big party, right?
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, the Raider culture is those guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love Usher. I'm from Atlanta. Like, Usher's an Atlanta guy. and I know he has a
residency here.
Here. We're gonna see him at the Super Bowl, but like it just wouldn't feel right if, like, no disrespect, if Usher was like doing a halftime show as opposed to Warren G and Too Short and DJ Quick or like Ice Cube.
Yeah, Q comes in all the time, right?
Exactly. So I mean, we can't have E40 because E40 is a big Niner fan, but like we could have E40. You know what I'm saying? But he's on the other team.
Get Chancellor 40 in here. Brice, before we get out of here, I just, I want to ask you, I do this every day on our show, Upon Further Review, which is actually a special version of this. I always end the show this way. The Raiders will win if. So, in your opinion, for the Raiders to have a fantastic Victory Tuesday tomorrow, one of my favorite victory days, Duffel, what do the Raiders need to do? 2 things.
Protect the football, keep it simple. Easy money. Protect the football, keep it simple. We got a rookie quarterback. You got a great all-pro, Pro Bowl running back there. Let him get going, and everything else will open up. Defense, you got a young quarterback that you're playing against. Don't let him throw the ball all the way down the field. Defensive coordinator, throw a lot of, some simple looks so your guys can be in the best position possible to make the plays. You got good players on the back end. Let them make their plays. No turnovers, protect the football, keep it simple.
I'm with you, and I talked about it earlier with Harry. Win the turnover battle. We haven't seen that yet, and that kind of coincides with everything you're saying. Protect the football, force turnovers, and ride the momentum. I talk about this every single week, and I'll keep preaching it until the cows come home. Win the first quarter, right? Say who you want to be. Show who you want to be from the jump. Right. Jump on the team. Say, hey, this is what we're about. We're going to go up and down the field, and we're going to make it really, really hard on you this afternoon.
Right.
Or, I guess, evening in this case. But, that's what I'm trying to see, and I have a good feeling that the Raiders can do. Take the 3 things that we mentioned, put it together, play a clean football game that you and I will be enjoying a Victory Tuesday. And, shameless plug alert, you're hanging out with us today. You're getting the 5th quarter. Me and you breaking it all down after the game. So, man, this was fun, Duffel. We did it. We did it live. We had no vulgarity slips, which is a W. Duffel was on his best behavior. Everyone here at the EA at Madden Cruiser was awesome. Big shout out to our guys for really letting us invade their space for a little bit this afternoon. Incredible host. As I said, make sure you download the official Raiders app. Hang out with us all evening. Raiders.com for everything Raiders. We got you covered better than anyone out there. We'll see you guys after the game.